Welcome to the lecture on basic concepts in statistical thermodynamics. Statistical thermodynamics has been incorporated in the curriculum of MSc second semester chemistry in paper CH9 under unit 2 with the following learning objectives. To introduce the concepts of statistical mechanics, to understand its significance in chemistry, to learn about its role in studying the properties of matter. At the end of the unit, it is expected that the students must gain knowledge of concepts of probability and partition function, able to differentiate between the different statistics applicable to different systems, able to correlate partition function with various thermodynamic functions and properties of matter. These are the following topics which we will cover in this lecture. Let us first see what is statistical thermodynamics. We all are familiar with the subject thermodynamics. The word thermodynamics is derived from two words, thermos and dynamics. Thermos means heat, which is a form of energy, and dynamics means power, and here it is in the sense of movement or motion. But thermodynamics is not only limited to heat energy. We can define thermodynamics at that branch of science which deals with heat energy, its interrelationship with other forms of energy and properties of matter. Thermodynamic systems can be studied under two conditions, equilibrium as well as non-equilibrium. On that basis, we can classify thermodynamics into equilibrium thermodynamics and non-equilibrium thermodynamics or irreversible thermodynamics. Both classical thermodynamics and statistical thermodynamics are valid under equilibrium condition. You all have learned about classical thermodynamics in lower classes. It is based on four basic postulates known as the laws of thermodynamics, which has been derived from experimental results or on the basis of experience. Hence, classical thermodynamics is an empirical or experimental science. It deals with bulk or macroscopic system. Bulk system means a system which consists of a large number of particles, and the properties here derived is the bulk property because the system under study is taken as a whole. Here the properties of the system is given without considering the behavior of the individual constituents, because classical thermodynamics developed during the end of 18th century and beginning of 19th century, and at that time not much was known about the atomic and subatomic properties. On the other hand, we have statistical thermodynamics, which is a theoretical science. It deals with bulk matter, that means large number of particles. But the difference here is that here the behavior or the property of the individual constituents are taken into consideration, and by means of statistical methods the average property of the system is derived. Another branch of science which deals with matter is mechanics. You all have studied about classical mechanics. It is based on Newton's law of motion and Maxwell's electromagnetic theory. According to Maxwell's electromagnetic theory, energy is emitted or absorbed continuously. Till 19th century, it was believed that any phenomena related to motion or energy could be explained on the basis of these laws. But it was found that it is true only for large objects or macroscopic matter. When it comes to the microscopic level of the dimension of atomic and subatomic particles, it fails. Therefore, there came the need for another mechanics, which is known as quantum mechanics, which is based on de Broglie hypothesis, according to which particle exhibits particle as well as wave nature. Due to this wave nature, the position and momentum of a moving microscopic particle cannot be determined simultaneously with the same accuracy according to Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Another important principle here is Planck's quantum theory, according to which energy is emitted or absorbed in the form of packets known as quanta, hence the name of the mechanics quantum mechanics. On the basis of these theories, Schrödinger wave equation was established. And on solving Schrödinger wave equation, we can get the behavior of atomic and subatomic particles and study their properties. Besides this, it was found that the energy levels of these microscopic particles have a definite value or they are quantized. So, the important consequence of quantum mechanics or important result of quantum mechanics is that we can get the properties of individual constituents. Second is that the energy levels are quantized. Now let's see how these can be correlated. The results obtained from quantum mechanics, that is the property of the individual macroscopic matter, it can be applied to classical thermodynamics, that is the bulk or the macroscopic system, and we can get the property of the bulk or the macroscopic system using the statistical approach, that is probability theory and statistical methods from statistical mechanics. This branch of science is known as statistical thermodynamics. Now let's see what is the correlation between the different branches of science. Classical thermodynamics, as we have seen, that it deals with macroscopic matter, and the state is defined by variables like pressure, volume, temperature, etc. On the other hand, quantum mechanics deals with microscopic matter, and the state is defined by wave function. Statistical mechanics provides the link between this microscopic property and the macroscopic property. And statistical thermodynamics gives the link between, or it is a bridge between the microscopic world and the macroscopic world, or the quantum world and the classical world. Now let's see the following terms: system, assembly and ensembles. Suppose we take a system which consists of 1 mole of oxygen gas. Then there will be 6.023 into 10 to the power 23 molecules. Each oxygen molecule is referred to as a system. So we can define system if there is a collection of particles, then each single particle is referred to as a system. Now if you take all the systems collectively, then it is termed as assembly. So what is assembly? It is collection of systems or particle as a whole. Now if we take a collection of assemblies, we can form this ensemble. So from system, the collection of system will be known as assembly, and the collection of assembly is known as ensemble. We can define ensemble as collection of very large number of assemblies which are independent of each other, but their thermodynamic or the macroscopic properties have been kept identical. The concept of ensemble has to be given because if we consider a system consisting of 1 mole or more than that of a gas, then we see that the molecules are of the order of Avogadro number. Such a large number of molecules keeps on moving, collides with each other, exchange energy. So the energy of a molecule does not remain the same over a period of time. So we have to take the average energy over a period of time. And this difficult task of time averaging was done by Willard Gibbs in 1902 by introducing the concept of ensemble. Now, if we consider a system along with its surrounding as a unit, and if this distinct unit is reproduced many times, we will get an ensemble. So it is just a set of imaginary replication or mental construction. Each member in an ensemble is subjected to same thermodynamic or macroscopic constraints. Now coming to the types of ensemble. There are several types of ensembles. Here we will consider the main types of ensembles. We can classify it into three main types: microcanonical, canonical, and grand canonical. What is microcanonical ensemble? Here you can see that this is a collection of system known as assembly, and here we have taken 9 assemblies. Okay, they are independent of each other and they have been macroscopically made identical with same energy, volume and number of system. You can see every assembly is having the same energy, volume and number of systems. Here the walls of between these assemblies are rigid, impermeable and insulated or adiabatic walls, such that neither energy nor matter can be exchanged between them. It is similar to the isolated system in classical thermodynamics. Now, canonical ensemble. Here again we can see they are independent assemblies. Here the temperature, volume and number of the systems remains the same. The walls here are rigid and impermeable, but they are of conducting nature. So here energy can be exchanged, but the matter cannot be exchanged. It is similar to the closed system in classical thermodynamics. Grand canonical ensemble, here we see that the assemblies are independent of each other and they have been made thermodynamically same. Temperature, volume and chemical potential of each assembly remains the same. Here let us see what is the nature of the wall here. It is rigid, it is permeable and conducting. That means both energy as well as matter can be exchanged between the assemblies. So it is like the open system in classical thermodynamics. There are several other important terms which we come across in statistical thermodynamics. Let us see one by one. From molecular point of view, if you have to specify the state of a gas, we require two coordinates, that is position and momentum. Position has three vectors x, y, z and momentum has px, py and pz. You can imagine a three-dimensional space. Here you have to imagine a six-dimensional space having these six coordinates, and this space is known as phase space. Now this phase space can be divided into small volume unit volumes, and each element of volume has the dimension of dx, dy, dz, dpx, dpy, dpz, which is known as cell. Within this cell lies the molecule, and the molecules are represented by points which are known as phase point. And if we take the uncertainty principle, we see that the product of the uncertainty in position and momentum is approximately equal to Planck's constant. So the minimum volume of the cell, which is the volume of the phase point, is of the order of h cube. If there are n molecules, then it will be the volume will be h to the power 3n. Now within this cell lies the phase point or the molecules. So number of molecules in each cell or in a given state, the number of particles is known as the occupation number. For example, we can take the chlorine atom. Atomic number is 17. The 17 electrons can be arranged in ground state as 287. So the occupation number of the first is 2, second is 8, and the third is 7. If we take the excited state, then the configuration or the distribution will be 2861. So we have different number of particles in a given state, and that is known as occupation number. Now if we consider the whole set 287 or 2861, the entire set of occupation number is known as distribution, and the specific distribution of molecule is known as configuration. For example, 287, it is the ground state configuration. 2861 for chlorine, it is the excited state configuration. Now this distribution or a particular configuration can be achieved in a number of ways, and the number of ways of achieving this is known as weight or thermodynamic probability. Another important term is statistical weight factor. Energy level can be made up of sub-energy states, and if the energy states of an energy level have the same value of energy, we call it as degenerate energy level. And this degree of degeneracy of a particular energy level is called statistical weight factor, and it is denoted by G. Now, in case of distribution of molecular states, two important conditions has to be satisfied. Suppose we have a system composed of n molecules and the total energy is E. The number of molecules in each state keeps on changing, which is represented by Ni, and the energy levels have been represented by Ei, but it must satisfy these two conditions, that is, summation of all the number of molecules should be equal to total number of molecules. Similarly, the summation of all the Ni-Ei terms should be equal to the total energy. Here the molecules are considered as independent, that is, no interaction exists between them. Infinite collisions are going on, and it is unable to track the position and momentum of each and every molecule. So number of molecules in each state may keep on changing, but these two conditions must always be satisfied. It is very important condition. Now let's see what is a macro state. We have seen that within the cell lies the phase point, or within the energy state lies the particle. The number of molecules in each energy state is known as macro state. So we have to just specify how many molecules are there in a particular energy state. For example, let us consider a system with n is equal to 3. So the number of particles are 3 and they are all identical, and the total energy of these particles should be equal to 3E. It is taken at a particular temperature because energy depends upon temperature. Now let us see how we can distribute these three identical molecules. This is one way of arranging. We can arrange the molecules like this, or we can arrange the molecules like this. What do we see is that in every case n is equal to 3 and energy is equal to 3. Here you can see that one molecule has that value of the energy which is equal to the total energy. So the rest 2 will have 0 energy. So the total is 3 plus 0 plus 0, 3. Here we see that, or you can take this one. So 3 particles, and we have arranged this in this way. Here the energy has been distributed equally among all the 3. So 1e plus 1e plus 1e, again it is 3e. Here we see that one particle in each energy state, again 2 plus 1 plus 0, that is 3e. So we can get this distribution in 3 ways. And this is known as macrostate. In macrostate, we have to just specify the number of molecule in each energy state. For example, this macrostate, the particles are 2, 0, 0 and 1. Here 1, 1, 1 and 0. Here the number of particles are 0, 3, 0 and 1. Now, provided the number of molecules and total energy are kept constant, all these possibilities for distribution are equally probable. And this principle is known as principle of equal a priori probabilities. So in the above case, we will see that all the 3 distributions are equally probable. Now coming to what is a microstate. Microstate, in case of microstate, we have to specify which molecule is going to which energy state. So it is the number of possible ways of a particular distribution if the particles are distinguishable. So here you have to define or specify all the 6 coordinates that the particle is belonging to which particular cell. Okay. So for example, let us consider any one macrostate. Here we are taking the distribution of 2 and 1. Now if the particles are distinguishable, we have colored it in different colors. Now let us see what are the possible distribution. Here we have to specify which molecule is entering which energy state. So this is one way of arranging. This is another way. This is the third way. For this particular macrostate, we have seen that there are 3 possible ways of arranging. You can put the yellow one here, red and blue here. You can put the red here, yellow and blue here, and for this blue here. So a total of 3 possible ways of achieving this macrostate. And this possible ways, number of ways of achieving a particular macrostate is known as microstate. Similarly, we can check the other configurations. Let us now see how we can arrange the particles according to macrostate 3 and macrostate 2. If we take the macrostate 3, where all the particles are having the same energy, then we see that there is only one possible way of arranging it. If we consider the macrostate 2, where the particles in each level is 1, then we have 6 possible macrostates. Let us see how we can arrange this. So this is one way, second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. So here we see that in 2e level we have placed the red one in both the cases, but in the 1e level here is the yellow one and here it is the blue one. Here in the 0th level it is blue and here it is yellow. Similarly, you can arrange in this possible 6 ways. So a total of 6 ways of arranging the macrostate 2, and there is only one way of achieving this macrostate 3. We have just now seen how a particular macrostate can be achieved in a number of ways. And this number of ways of achieving a particular macro state is represented by W and is known as thermodynamic probability. If there are only a few particles, we can check by arranging it in different energy levels. But the system consists of molecules of the order of Avogadro number, and it is not possible to see the arrangement of each molecules by just putting it in energy state. So for that we require an equation, and that equation is given by W is equal to n factorial divided by n1 factorial, n2 factorial, and so on. Here n represents the total number of particles, n1, n2, etc. are the number of particles in the ith level. How many particles are in the 0th level, first level, second level, third level, etc. Just putting the values, we can calculate the value of W. In a generalized way, we can write it as this is equal to n factorial divided by product of all the ni factorials. You all are familiar with factorial. N factorial stands for n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 till 2, 1. Suppose we have 5 factorial. 5 factorial will be equal to 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Now, the above case can be substituted in this equation and we can get the value of the microstate. In the first macrostate, we have seen that the total number of particles is 3. The particles were arranged in such a way that one energy level was having 2 and one was having 1. So 3 factorial is 3 into 2 into 1. This is 6. This is 2 factorial 2 into 1. 1 factorial is 1. And 0 factorial is also equal to 1. So it has not been included here. So we get 3 possible ways of arranging. In case of macro state 2, we have seen that there are 6 ways of arranging. When we substitute this in equation, 3 factorial, 1 each, 1 factorial, 1 factorial, 1 factorial. When we solve, we get 6. In the third, we have seen that all the 3 lies on the same energy level. So 3 factorial divided by 3 factorial, it will give 1 way. So by using this formula, we can get how many number of microstate are possible for a macro state. Now there is an important concept, that is most probable distribution. We have seen that distribution must satisfy 2 important conditions. That means the total number of particles should remain same, the total energy should remain same, and we have seen that how we can achieve the number of ways of achieving a particular distribution can be obtained using this equation. We have seen that if a particular particle has that value and others are 0, then if there are n particles, then there are n ways. In the above case, we have seen that 3 particles, 3 ways. And if we distribute the energy equally among all the particles, then we have seen that there is one and only one way of arranging. Here n ways, here 1 ways. And if it is arranged in a configuration of 1:1, we get the maximum number of microstates. And this distribution with the largest number of probability or largest frequency is known as the most probable distribution. So the most probable distribution is the one which can be obtained in the largest number of ways. And it is generally the 1:1 configuration which has the maximum value of W or the maximum frequency of occurrence, and this distribution is known as most probable distribution. If we take n number of particles and distribute it into energy states, we can have the possible configuration. In one level there is 0 and there is n number. In another we put 1 and n minus 1. Next 2 and n minus 2, and so on. In general formula we can write n minus k and k. And if we plot the different configurations versus thermodynamic probability, then we see that in each case the dominating configuration is the 1:1. Here n is equal to 4, 2 and 2 gives the largest number of frequency of occurrence. Here when n is equal to 8, 4, 4 distribution is giving the maxima. Here in case of 12, 6, 6 giving the maxima. So here we see that the 1:1 configuration has the maximum probability, so it is the most probable distribution or the dominating distribution. Now if we compare these diagrams, we see that as we go on increasing the number of value of molecules, what happens is that the dominating configuration becomes more and more dominating or predominant, or the curve will get more and more sharper. Now, how can we determine this most probable distribution? When there is n is equal to 4, 8 or 16, we can just use the binomial theorem and plot the curve and get the dominating configuration. But if there are molecules of the order of Avogadro number, how can we get the most probable distribution? We have seen that for thermodynamic probability, this is the equation, and for solving this equation we require a set of numbers n1, n2, n3, etc. And for getting this, we have to apply the condition of maxima here. We will differentiate. We will take the first derivative of w with respect to ni and equate it to 0. But there is a problem here. The term factorial is there, and we can eliminate this if we take the logarithmic form of this thermodynamic probability. So you can use del log w divided by del ni and equate it to 0. This will give a set of numbers corresponding to most probable distribution, and using that we can get the value of W max. How can we eliminate this factorial term? When n is very large, then the summation can be approximated by an integral. So we get a simplified equation. Log n factorial is approximately equal to n log n minus n. For example, if we have log 1000 factorial, it will be equal to approximately equal to 1000 log 1000 minus 1000. So we can easily determine the W max or the most probable distribution using this approximation. Here W is n factorial divided by n0 factorial, n1 factorial, n2 factorial, etc. We will take the log and apply the Stirling's approximation, and we can get the differentiation, equate it to 0 and get the most probable distribution. This is all in this lecture. Thank you very much.